man, we are live. Welcome back to It's a Conversation, the podcast with your hosts Jay and A.
What's up? What's going on?
Hanging, man. You know, it's been a crazy wild week.
Haven't they all?
It's always a wild week, especially in the state of Florida.
2020
we're
knows
backwards
nothing
down
but
here.
wild weeks.
Very bad.
That's right. So, yeah, man, happy to be here. This is actually my first time recording with you at Casa de la Beautiful Couple.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, that's what it'll be known as, the Beautiful Couple Casa de la. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming along and sitting here and doing the show together in person amidst the coronavirus and 6 feet. Of course, we're not.
Did you just say I missed the coronavirus?
I'll miss. You got to keep it.
Yeah, like Stockholm syndrome with the coronavirus. Yeah, you fell in love with your oppressor, your captor.
Yeah, it's such a nice thing, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's very
so
nice.
Romantic. But no, all jokes aside, it's good to be back. It's good to finally start the show off and get it done, in person. So everybody, welcome back. Like I said, we have a couple things in the docket that we want to break down and talk about. We're gonna talk about, the elephant in the room is the Trump Meister himself, Donald Trump, and his trailing numbers with his people.
Just about everywhere.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's different points. There's different reasons that come off the top of my head with that. But we can definitely get into that for sure. It's super interesting just because it's so different than 2016. I think in 2016 he was singing a song that nobody knew the lyrics to, but they were happy to be hearing it. We're talking about, coming across as anti-establishment and this guy that had all the money in the world and wasn't going to be controlled by corporations or anything like that. And he was talking about draining the swamp.
I was about to say he was going to drain the swamp, if I'm not mistaken. You were very right.
He did a great job of that. Yeah. There's actually a swamp in front of your apartment that is less swampy than what Washington looks like.
I was going to say, let me not make it sound like if I live in Washington. I mean, nothing against Washington. Beautiful state, But, exactly. The guy came in there with kind of like diverting the attention. Let me not do this. I'm going to fight crime, but yet I'm going to be the cause of crime. So he was kind of saying, like,
he leaned into the former for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was very odd, but
so again, back to like the reason why he's like tracking or trending so low. It's very simple. There's a few reasons. Number one, I just don't think that people hate Hillary. They don't hate Joe Biden as much as they hated Hillary Clinton. So just like you have right now the never Trumpers, whether that's never Trump Republicans or never Trumpers, such as myself, to be quite honest with you, in 2016, even people that were really thinking that Trump is a really bad option were that much more scared of what Hillary, which is a career politician, one that people have countless conspiracy theories on. There was every reason to hate her as a candidate.
Just to basically doubt what she could do,
I think that it wasn't doubt. I think that it was really like the fact that they knew what she was probably going to get into. There was a lot of fear that was built up, whether justifiably or not, in many cases, about like. Again, they're gonna take away your guns, this and that. She's seen as
she came in with her flame torch, ready to annex every single decision that those before her had put in place. Like, you want to take away the guns and everything, but
I think that people hated her for whatever reason. The fact is that people hated her a lot more than. There really isn't a strong opinion about Biden. I think that they're just thinking that he is this, guy that has been very centrist. He's not very progressive, if anything. He's voted for a lot of things that are very unpopular then and definitely now, going back into that. That's one reason. Second reason is because that song is not singing. It's not sounding the same this time around. So when you're talking about
very different.
The wall didn't get built. Not that I was hoping it would get built, but It's not. It hasn't got a build. Whatever wall existed before,
Technically,
it has.
there's sections of the wall already up, but according to how that wall was supposed to be structured.
He was basically saying that he was a good builder and he was, that's what he knew and all that stuff and that's what he does. And most of that wall was already there. It was already there.
And people are still climbing it in seconds, which I don't understand. I'm like,
no. So he didn't get that done. He's put more swampy people in the swamp than taken out.
no bar.
And so, I mean, that's to start off, and then like the interchange. So he doesn't look like he has it together. And then just to end everything now, 2020, coronavirus, his response, the reopening of the country, like it's been a disaster behind disaster in front of disaster, and it's just been. You can see where this guy's heart is. So that's why people are not buying that anymore. On top of the fact the way that he's spoken about certain, like most people that just always have a contrarian view to what his are, it's becoming more evident. Now, he has a base that is always going to vote for him. I understand that. But a lot of the people that have a more independent mind or are more critical of him are starting to now really turn their back on him, i.e. the numbers that we're seeing. 9 points today in Florida.
That's just Florida.
He's dragging behind Joe Biden. When in April, he was still behind, but it was only 3 points.
Huge swing, especially like I said, like major key swing states. We all know that Florida's always had the issue of being counted as the ugly child when it comes
the
to
indecisive child.
Yeah,
the redheaded stepchild.
The ugly duckling through every single election, going back to I don't know how far, but every single election Florida has this. Oh, we don't know. It's too soon to call. I'm like, listen, we're seeing that gap open up, and he's losing a lot of that backing. A lot of people, especially from the Republican, the GOPs, are saying, hey, listen, we know that you're not going to get reelected. We have to start, saving our own political careers. So,
well, I mean,
they're jumping ship right now.
Well, the only reason that they started to vote for him or back him in the GOP and what was after the fact that they already let their real opinions known when he first, made himself or announced his candidacy for president or the nomination for the Republican Party. Most people were like, get this joke out of here. They already let that known. You can probably bring up any of those recordings up. And then
North Carolina.
I mean, just like a guy, like Ted Cruz, bro. That guy's wife was literally insulted. What man stands for that? And then, okay, he runs for, he was running against Trump, and then he brings in Carly Fiorina, I remember this, and then as his vice president, not having been selected as the nomination, just because he wanted to seem that confident guy. He never had it against Trump, because Ted Cruz is really spineless when it comes down to it. But, so then, when he sees that everything that is coming to him is inevitable, which is just loss after loss after loss.
It's bound to happen.
It happened with Trump. And so what did he do? He started fielding phone calls. He was on Trump's the campaign or whatever, basically calling people and saying, hey, this is Ted Cruz. I now endorse Trump. You should vote for him. It's like the jelly spine that you see is pathetic. So these people now again are jumping off of the train. You got the guy, I'm sorry that I can't remember the name. There's a senator from Texas that's starting to speak out against Trump and his
Especially after he was one of the first ones, the senator from Texas.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And the governor also. He was one of the first ones that let's go ahead and reopen, and we're with the president's decision in every single. And I'm glad that they're all basically turning their back and saying, listen.
But why? Why? Because the fact is that now people are not probably going to vote for Trump. It's very likely that it's going to be a landslide victory for Biden, which will be embarrassing, which would then need all these people to recoup everything they can to get voted. So it's just, if people are not able to see the transparency of how this works, I don't know what to do for you, dude. Like Trump trending down, Republican, senators, what's it called? Congressmen, congresswomen.
Everyone.
See you later. They're starting little by little, and you're going to see it more and more as time goes closer to the election, because it's just, they already see it. This guy's done, he's done who votes for him? People that don't like him, but they have the money and they really want those tax cuts.
Capital
Yeah.
gains
And
tax.
and to add, then I mean, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. When Gorsuch, which is the reason why some of these Christian voters voted for Trump, because we're gonna get our Supreme Court justices that are obviously Republican darlings brought up and nominated by Trump, and obviously in Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, confirmed by the Senate, obviously, and now they're part of the team. Guess what? Gorsuch is the one that dissented in the most recent Supreme Court decision, which was, what was it? Not allowing discrimination
against the LGBTQ
Exactly.
community. Yeah.
So when they start saying, "Oh wait, we're getting what we thought we wanted, but it's not that easy," like this guy still had an opinion and he voted a certain way. So what good is Trump now? It's not. It really makes no difference. It really makes no difference.
No difference.
The only difference it makes is a negative one. So I'm not happy to see the country going this way in terms of like this division and in terms of the frustration and the infighting. But if there's one thing I do know from my personal opinion is that Trump's got to go. He's just nothing positive is coming of this. I've never seen somebody do so little in terms of trying to unite the country and doing so much in trying to divide it. And it seems like people are starting to wake up and seeing
a lot of people, especially after everything that's been happening with the riots and this whole movement of woke. You know what I'm saying? That people are realizing, listen, there's so many things that are wrong with this country and how we're structured that, and we're not being attended to. Like, Black Lives Matter, discrimination against certain communities, certain genders, the Hispanic community. And people think about it like, how long can we go with just ignoring? People are fed up. That's the reason why things are happening at the rate that they're happening now.
Yeah.
Everything is unrolling at a speed that Trump is like, damn, I wish this would have happened after the election. Right now, we're still plenty of months before the election. And they're losing their percentages and they're trailing. It's not just Trump.
When the shit hits the fan, it's never pretty.
It's hitting. It's a pile of shit, bro.
It's a pile of shit.
It's not a little shit. It's a pile of shit. It's a full carriage of manure.
Yeah.
And at this rate that we're going, listen, McConnell,
he might get voted out.
He is definitely going to get voted out.
He might. I wouldn't say definitely because that guy finds a way to do it. But
no, he's shitting his pants, because the thing about it is, he's always, there's no Kentucky, It's like North Carolina, I think, is Lindsey Graham.
No, he's South Carolina.
South Carolina, whichever Carolina, he's not welcome back there anymore. He's about to lose his seat also at the big table. So that's another guy that they're panicking. If you saw the interview with Lindsey Graham years before, when they were still doing the campaigning, and they were talking about Joe Biden, and he said Joe Biden is as good as a man as God can create. Oh man, you got to check it out. It's crazy. And the thing about it is, he would bash Donald Trump before he was elected. Bash him, saying that it would be crazy to elect this man. Where are your morals and all of this? And after he got elected, it was like, hey, we got to defend our leader now. Hold on, you were the main guy talking, speaking the truth about him. And now that everything happened, he's elected.
Because you're bowing down. I mean, this is nothing.
You have to have your morals, man.
This is nothing new when it comes to politics. It's just right now it is magnified because of the outward indecency that we see from the president. It's just he's got no redeeming factors as a human being. So then you're like, wait a minute, when somebody, you have proof that they have said things against him reasonably, because I think anybody that can see Trump would probably say, okay, reasonably, this is just a guy with no scruples. The way that he's earned certain things has always been extremely dirty, or either handed to him by his father through inheritance, and then, whatever he's built is as hollow as anything. Sure, the guy's a billionaire. Many people are not, but if that is an indicator of the kind of person you'll be or the kind of president that you'll be, you're definitely considering the wrong aspects, and especially the way that this person has, which has been of low or so little merit in a moral standpoint, then it's just like when you start seeing these people back him or not back him and then back him and then start jumping ship whenever
Yeah,
things start
it's-
looking bad, it just goes to show you not so much Trump. It shows you the kind of people these people are. They're just more skilled politicians. They like, which is
Okay,
what
yes.
people hated and why they voted for Trump in the first place, just to kind of
Thinking that he was going to be different, a businessman getting
no,
in
he's
there.
just a potty mouth version of these people.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
That's it. Someone who's basically unfiltered and does things to shine the light. And I think that's another thing that he doesn't have against Joe Biden that he had against Hillary Clinton. He had a lot of material that he could have used. All he does is basically say, "Oh, Sleepy Joe,
okay, I mean,
Sleepy Joe,
yeah.
Sleepy Joe."
You had Benghazi with Hillary Clinton.
yeah, you had a lot of things with
You
Hillary Clinton, the emails.
Well, yeah, everything relating to that. Even like then the people that get into like crazy conspiracy theories, they're like talking about that this lady's runs a pedophile ring out of a pizza shop. All this crazy stuff you don't have
I never
with
heard that
Joe
one.
Biden. And not that makes him a great candidate or a better candidate than even Hillary Clinton was. He's just one that is not as polarizing. And when you look at his record, Republicans might be more willing to vote for him because he has a history of voting for across the aisle.
Conservative, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He'll vote. He's definitely always voted with or in hand with Republicans on many issues. And
Yeah, he's not unwilling to work with the other party, and
no, he's very centrist.
He's
He's
open, he's open.
he's a corporatist Democrat. He's always been that. But at this point, some people I don't really get the argument, especially when people don't like Trump, how they still start like looking for things to nitpick at Joe Biden. That's understandable. These things are still they still exist, but you got to get Trump out. That's the way it is. That guy's got to get out because you cannot make any meaningful progress into like the things that really matter, man, and they're going to matter in the long term. All these things, all these programs that Trump has demolished.
I mean, right now he doesn't have a clear answer on how he wants to replace or reinstitute something to replace Obamacare. But yet this week he filed another filing
urging the Supreme Court to
listen,
strike it down.
overturn this, Obamacare.
Did you see
Do you have anything, especially in the middle of this whole crisis? Do you have anything you want to replace it with? No. You've had 3 years to decide what you're gonna do. You've had 3 years to basically assist in bettering so many other things. A lot of people that have money say, "Man, the economy is doing great. Look how good we are." Yeah, because you have certain benefits that are going your way. In the general aspect of a whole, it's not working for us. This system is not working for us. This tax cut and tax breaks for the big corporation, wealthy. I mean, it's just crazy.
I'll tell you something, man. Maybe like that stuff gets better as hopefully a transition to a different administration takes place. But with Biden, it's still going to be very corporate friendly. There's no doubt with that. It's just not like unless something comes out of left field, which typically in these type of things that doesn't happen. He's gonna just continue to vote and govern the way that he has for 50 years. But again, in my opinion, it's better than what we're gonna have with Trump. And just to finish this topic off, Trump had recently a town hall on Fox, and I think he was with Hannity.
Yeah,
right?
John
and
Hannity.
Hannity asks him straight up, okay, with re-election, what are your plans for the next 4 years? And he literally said a couple of words and quickly changed the subject. Why?
He doesn't have a
because
plan.
he doesn't have a plan. He's not the kind of guy that has a plan. Whenever you see plans maybe coming forth later on when he's like not in front of the microphone, it's because he's had all these, really, really bad people that are the ones that actually draft up these
The
policies.
plans, all the ideas, everything.
Whether it's that Stephen Miller, which is, one of the worst people that has ever been anywhere near the president's office in any administration. That guy's bad. That guy,
I don't
you
understand
gotta get
how-
those kind of people out of power or influence.
I cannot simply understand how is it that, so many corrupt politicians, so many characters are still involved. And I think about it, I'm like, if we see this clear as day and we see, everything that's going on, how is it that not one Republican or Democrat can speak out against it? I mean, I'm pretty sure Democrats have tried, but
People have
nobody
said it,
speaks
yeah.
about it. Nobody says, hey,
It's just
listen.
what's back, like so you have somebody that's considered radical like AOC, obviously Bernie Sanders, people like that, which
Yeah, they're a little
they're
extreme,
not
but
but they're not establishment Democrats. They're very much so progressive.
Super.
But you know, if I don't necessarily agree with every last bit of policy that they would like to enact, but I definitely see more progress in the way that they want to see things. Whether it is universal
Universal,
healthcare,
yeah.
which I mean, honestly, dude, like somebody said this yesterday, and we're not to be jumping around too much, but when it comes to like freedom, right, land of the free, what is more of an antithesis to that uh, code or way of life than having to stick to your employer because of your health care, right? So you can't go anywhere.
You're
You,
trapped.
you basically have to really rely and protect your job because that's where your your
That's
best shot of good healthcare
healthcare.
comes from. But so yeah, those candidates, yes, they are seen as radical, but they have very different ideas in the mainstream, whether that is GOP or very corporatist Democrats. It's a step beyond that, and I think
I
that
mean,
in many cases a step in the right direction for fairness. Right now, the way that it is, it's very like we keep on hearing it, whether it's in the news or whether it's in our own conversations. This stuff is just basically set up for a certain type of American to thrive mostly, and then other people on the ancillary can probably jump in on that train. But for the most
yeah.
part, people of color, people of lesser means, all of these people don't have enough of a seat on that gravy train, right? And so anything that's proposed that's against that is gonna always be seen as, completely savage or
Too
way
extreme.
too radical. And
Way too
that's
extreme.
it's just because it's really gonna shake up the way that this place has been managed and run and the foundation of it. But there's been more people that look like us are going to start needing more representation, and we're going to start voting a certain way, and it's going to be uncomfortable for the
for
establishment.
a lot of people that are comfortable and so used to their own system that they're actually saying, listen, my chair is about to get taken away because, especially this year, I think that they're with the census. I'm not sure if you
I did it. Yeah.
if you see this. I did it for the first time in a while. And the
That's
thing
because it
about-
only comes around once.
yeah,
in a
I mean,
while.
but you get what I'm saying, like
yeah, every 10 years,
Yeah,
every 10
yeah.
years, that's because it comes around every 10
Yeah.
years.
But the thing about it is, I think that more Hispanics were willing to participate in some of these programs because they realized, listen, whether you're undocumented or whatever the case is, I have a voice and I need to be heard. And if this is gonna help me get counted to put another representative in there to get more attention to our district or to
Or just so people know what
what you're working with,
where you
yeah.
live and what that looks like. It's
Exactly.
important. It's scary.
That
as-
demographic has to be addressed and it has to be identified correctly because right now you can go to any state and say, oh, how's the demographic, how's the layout, how more people would not know if you're not actually getting the information and tracking the stuff that you need to track. And I think this time around is going to be very, very different. The polling numbers are going to be backed this time around because last time they were showing Hillary had a good time. She was actually leading in certain states, and come election
Yeah,
day,
but some of those states
We took a
weren't as
crap
big
on
as you would
ourselves.
have wanted them to be. Again, like a state like Michigan, which was really
Yeah,
one of
it's
the
a-
nails in the coffin for Hillary Clinton and on election night.
Correct.
She wasn't polling very much higher than Trump. I think she was only up by 2 or 3 points, which at that point, that can go any way.
That can go anyway.
That can go any way. So when you have more of a lead, such as in Florida, dude, Florida, we're not talking about other states that are maybe more of a worker state. Florida, dude, it's pretty red. And anything else other than Miami-Dade County, Broward, or Palm Beach.
yeah.
But it's always very close because we have a lot more of a dense population than the rest of the state. But it's usually a very,
Very red.
too close to call state. 9 points is a pretty big lead. That can change, obviously, but these are numbers based off of an aggregate of many polls. So leading into another topic of conversation, which is I think some of the more important stuff.
Yeah.
Immediately. In our own state of Florida, the coronavirus cases this week have absolutely been off the charts.
This whole week, and we've been basically trending. I think the last couple of days at
we're breaking records every single day.
Breaking records after our own governor DeSantis decided to basically lift certain restrictions.
He lifted most restrictions.
Way too early, especially when they had done the beach reopening a couple of weeks ago. And then they opened up everything. All business back to work. Everything is good. As long as we keep certain things. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this is way too soon for us to just go ahead and reopen. People are not going to know how to police themselves and how to, follow certain guidelines. You're talking to people that have been cooped up in quarantine for months.
Right.
Since March. You know what I'm saying? And then you let them loose and tell them, hey, but,
moderation.
Be cautious. Be cautious.
Right.
Take your preventive measures and protect yourself. Yeah, right. You let them kids out; they are going bananas out there.
Bro, dude, actually, so we went to go visit my girlfriend's parents earlier this month, and so what we did, obviously, there's really no reason we didn't stop. We just basically drove straight out of Florida, straight to North Carolina, essentially, and with only stopping for gas and to use the restroom at times. And what I was able to notice, especially on the way back, we stopped at, remember, I'll never forget the name of this town because it's kind of cheesy, but it's a place called Tradition, Florida. And we stopped, we went to a parking lot so we could switch chairs and I can continue driving. And dude, it looked like any other day, like 2019, Home Depot, totally full. The Miller's Ale House that was right there, dude, totally full, and not one person with a mask on. It was just chilling like anything you've ever seen before. And that was like a couple of weeks right before we started seeing these crazy spikes. And it's not to say that, obviously what I witnessed that was directly correlated, but when you think that the rest of the state was probably behaving that same way, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that those are the things that were leading. I think even more so because I was concerned when I was seeing the protests, and the protests, were very necessary.
Yes.
But according to the studies, the spikes haven't really been correlated back to that, because if you notice, a lot of people were wearing masks. A lot of people during the protests were wearing masks. They were as responsible as you could be during a mass gathering of people, right? What I saw at this place was complete abandon of what you should be doing, which is protecting yourself, especially when you're talking. Like, obviously you can't eat with a mask on, but people were carrying on as if it was just any other Sunday or Monday or Tuesday without a mask, completely together, rubbing elbows with other people. And it's just like, that is right then and there what's caused that. It's been an abandon of
complete. It's like everybody forgot that we were in the middle of a pandemic, and people were just going
willful ignorance is really what
and they were going about their life like they didn't want to put their mindset back into worry, scared. No, I'm living my life normally. I'm trying to live normal. There is no more normal. There's no more normal. We're gonna be dealing with this for over a year from now.
Yeah.
There's still no vaccine announced. As many companies, Moderna, Johnson and Johnson. There's so many other companies coming up and trying to get the vaccine, but there's no certainty that there's going to be a vaccine available by November. Even by the end of the year.
That's wishful thinking. That is just.
I know Trump said it a couple months ago. Like,
don't listen.
We're
to
close
to
a vaccine. It's a sniffles.
No.
Look at the number of people dying, bro.
You listen to everything. It's not to give the guy credit in the world, but he's a professional in this case. Like
Dr. Fauci.
Fauci had said it. He's like, when it comes to a vaccine, and I'm not necessarily somebody who gets a vaccine personally. Like I don't get the flu shot every single year, or really ever. I don't remember the last time I got one, but it works differently than the flu, man, because most people have, like the public gets inoculated by either people that already got vaccinated, other people that were exposed to it. And so then the virus doesn't have such a broad area to travel to as something that there is no immunity at large. So that's why it gets so crazy. And so again, the vaccine, we have to deal with it, not like not in sight anytime soon. And just to add one more point to that, you know, when you really,
stretch it out. You gotta. It's a lot. It's a heavy topic,
Dude,
and it's scary.
I had this conversation with my girl yesterday, and I'm like, anybody that's ever taken an ethics class in college or anywhere near, those type of subjects in high school, is familiar with the trolley, not a theory, but it's basically the trolley problem. And what that is basically it was brought up by a psychologist. I don't remember the name.
I think it might be Trolley last name.
So no, it's not. It's why, because like the cars of behind the locomotive in a train are usually called the trolley. So the way that the problem is set up is this. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but I'm gonna try to do my best. You have a runaway trolley on a train track, right? So this trolley has disconnected itself from
The locomotive.
the rest of the train that's hinged to one another, and it's barreling down a hill. So you are witnessing this happen. There's nobody in the trolley. It's just a runaway trolley. But you have two ways that this can diverge. So you have you can let it go down one track and it's gonna kill 5 people, right? Or you can switch the track and you can let it kill 1 person, right? But the power of that decision rests in the observer's hand, which is yourself. So you ask yourself, okay, what's worth it? Should I just let it continue going on its track and do what it's gonna do, which is kill 5 people that are on this track? Or should I take it in my power and knowingly take the life of a person that would be a singular person and not 5? So which one would you choose? And before you answer that question, chew on that a little bit. But it's the same thing that we're thinking about with how this has been handled, and it's only been based off of this is that theory, that situation come to life. So you have the trolley, or in many ways that represents the economy, right? So you can either let it go down and like the economy is going to be sacrificed one way or the other. So you have a lot of the economy, or you can represent that in lives, right? So we open the economy, you're pulling it to kill 5 people, but it's going to barrel. If you continue to keep people safe, socially distanced, if you continue to keep these people from, going and congregating at pools or bars or whatever, then you're making that decision, but it's one that's going to take a lot less casualties. And right now, they're not opting for that. They're opting for, let's open this economy and we're going to take a lot of people with us, with it. And I just think
it's like a wishful thinking that they're basically hoping that this solution comes out of nowhere and the problem gets resolved and the economy doesn't get affected. It only goes up from there.
You're giving them too much credit. I think that they know exactly what can happen.
Of course they know. They're the ones in power. They're the ones that are saying, listen, we're making the rules and we're making the guidelines as we go.
Yeah.
But we feel that it's not that big of a deal to shut down the economy again. I'm not sure if it was the Speaker of the House that said, or the White House said, we're not shutting down again the second time.
Trump said that himself, and
it's like, listen, this is coming back, and it's crazy for me to think that everybody's predicting the second round. When the second round? We are still in the first round. Don't get it twisted. There's always the second round when it comes back, in the flu season that is most likely going to come back. But we are still in the first round. The virus has not, to my point, mutated to come back around and change its form. We're still working on a vaccine for this form.
I mean,
and the thing about it is, since we're still dealing with it, we have not been able to cap it at all. And we're like, okay, we're bleeding enough. The economy is bleeding enough. let's just reopen and we'll take our baby steps. No, now it's tripled in Florida. Just
Alfred, I'm going to tell you right now.
sky high.
You're giving them too much credit. I think that the fact of the matter is that these people know the damage that this can do because they just don't know what the limitations are for a virus that's never been seen and one that should only be dealt with by socially distanced. And unfortunately, the economy does take a hit. That really ruins a lot of people's lives. But they are taking the option of forcing the economy to be open, and whatever happens, be damned. They're not naive to what will happen. They are willingly taking the choice of whatever needs to be sacrificed will be like they're going about like, yeah, old people are old, whatever, they're probably gonna die anyway.
Yeah,
Or like people
okay.
with a compromising immune system, we're already kind of fucked up. They're making that choice to say these people matter less than the economy, when not realizing that we're the ones that kind of make up the economy. We're the ones that work. We pay taxes.
We're the ones that
we're the
spend
ones that,
money in these locations.
we exactly. So we support the smaller business. We shop at the big businesses. Like with less of those people around, well, you're gonna have a drastically smaller economy. You're gonna have a less faith in the economy. So that's they know exactly what they're putting up as a mortgage or up to bet against this, and I don't think it's right. So
I think it's pretty
yeah,
bad.
man.
Well, off to the next topic, which is basically something that might get us more to normality, which is sports, giving us some kind of hope, which is kind of crazy because they've been discussing about, MLB, football coming back. Even though Dr. Fauci said, listen, football, don't plan on it. NBA actually released the return date, which is July 30th. All NBA teams have gotten their schedules and their matchups. But as we say the good part, we also say the bad part. More NBA players are actually coming down with the COVID-19. One of our own Miami Heat players, DDJ, came down with the COVID-19 and is infected. Also, we have another couple of players from the team that are self-quarantining just as precaution. We have other teams like Sacramento Kings have, I think, 3 players that came up infected. And you're like, okay, you're putting this plan together to have these people organize and play in a closed environment bubble in Orlando. But we're still seeing the effects of the infection. So who the
they're
world is
looking
going
to
to go
have
play?
this. They're looking to have.
We're going to have
this.
the mascots in suits out there playing.
I think that's the safest way to go about it. They're literally having this bubble league take place in one of the epicenters of the disease at the moment, which is the state of Florida. I love basketball, love to watch basketball, and obviously I miss to have that sort of entertainment on TV, But when you think about it, it's the same theory, or it's the same way that I think about everything else opening. I just think that I know that it sucks, and it feeds a lot of people that work in the stadiums, and that's not going to be taking place because it's not going to be happening in the individual stadiums. It's going to be happening in a bubble. There's going to be no concessions. There's going to be none of that. It's just going to be the sports playing. It's not that important, I think. I think that right now what we need to focus is the same effort that we had earlier on, which is just people stay away. I'm sorry, I love to watch LeBron play. And Pray is good too.
Yeah, he prays too.
Prayer is good. Prayer is good.
Smart guy, very religious.
Dude, think about it. It's in the grand scheme of things, people getting sick, people getting injured, people getting, possibly dying, it's not worth it. These people are not just, it's like, these people are bumping into each other. These people are playing
Sweating, breathing.
They're playing different people. There's 10 people on the court at the same time, plus whatever's on the bench, the coaches, the staffers, the people that clean the uniforms. Dude, there's too many people that come in contact with these people. And that's just basketball, baseball, football. None of these things in the grand scheme of things are that important. They really just aren't. I don't think it's a good idea that this is happening. There's no way to keep the environment 100% sterile. The only way to get through this is to be patient. And the way that you are proactive about it is by literally staying home. And I know, dude, because I also get bored of being home. I was home for 7 weeks, and I went back to work, and we have a very airtight environment. We have a lot of things. We keep socially distant. We don't allow anybody to come into the actual establishment. But even that is not foolproof, and I'm aware of that. But it's magnified when people are like literally bumping into each other, playing other people later on, and it's just weird. It's weird that we have to like consider this. This is not like any other time. Like I remember 9/11 sports were good to welcome back. I remember I was old enough to remember
Yeah.
9/11, and I remember when baseball came back, and and it was really symbolic because it was not letting that thing that happened defeat the morality and the morale of the country. But this is a different thing. This is not, this is an insidious, very, very contagious disease that doesn't have a
Extremely.
political affiliation, doesn't have a religious affiliation, doesn't care about anything. It's just going to spread. The way that you defeat that is to go hand in hand and stay away from each other, bro. It sucks, but it's the only way.
I think honestly they should just cancel the season. I mean, until we have a safe environment that we know we can control the outcome, don't come back. Don't come back for now. I mean, it sucks to say because I love basketball and I'm a big Heat fan, my whole life. But I think it's best for everyone and their families. Just
We want normality, dude. We want
Yeah,
things
we
we want to be
want-
able to turn on the TV.
as bad as we want it, we have to just say, you know what? The part that I see is like this: most people were basically cooped up at home, wanting to watch sports. Everybody's to this point of just like depression. They're like, man, like, can this year be over already? Like,
But
seriously.
and it's funny because
I'm like,
we
this
keep
is
on
the
thinking that
worst.
2020 is going to be over, and then all of a sudden 2020 is on a new track. This kind of situation that we need to be dealing with, which is the disease, which is the injustices that we have here in this country and around the world in many degrees, but in this country, these things don't go away just because the clock turns and all of a sudden it's another year. Forget about that. I mean, it happens to be that all this stuff happened once 2020 started, but Corona started in 2019, bro. It came from somewhere else in 2019, but it
Yeah.
started. So what I'm saying is that we need to look at what we're doing and abandon tradition in many ways. It sounds radical, but we got to forget about tradition, bro. Tradition is what's keeping us in this
It
mess
is
at the
a whole
moment.
mess.
Whether it's how we deal with this, wanting sports back, or not wanting to take down a stupid statue that like it's these things that we're locked into thinking this way that we need to be done with. It just, I mean,
It just has
it's
to happen.
radical. It's
It has
uncomfortable
to
even
happen.
for me because I'm just used to life as usual, whatever. But it's not fair for a lot of people, and catching this disease is not something that if you have it and you are potentially giving it off because you're asymptomatic, well, the reason that we have to wear masks or behave a certain way or stay away from people is because I don't need to be catching your stuff. So it's a sense of common courtesy, decency,
Yeah, decency, man.
to keep
So you're
yourself from spreading it for
Yeah.
to other people. Dude, this is legit, bro.
This is legit, man.
We're talking about 40, almost 5 minutes of some pretty heavy stuff, but it's stuff that we're all dealing with globally.
A lot of people, everybody has an opinion on how where we're headed, what's going on, and how things are affecting us and impacting our daily life. But we have to stay positive. Don't give up. Don't say I'm tired of wearing this mask. I'm marked up everywhere. I'm tired of this. Just staying at home every single day, weekend. I want to go back to normal, but we're better off just hunkering down and just following these guidelines. Because if we all can follow the same guidelines and we all protect ourselves, the sooner we'll be able to get out of it.
Yep.
But
I'm agreeing.
until we get on the same page, we're not gonna see greener pastures out there.
Well,
So that's that.
we're signing off. I think that we've gone pretty long on this.
We don't want to leave it also
break.
in just a Debbie Downer
Well,
moment.
this is true.
But
Life is life, man, and I think that there's a lot of things that we all need to consider, and hopefully we brought up points that maybe some people haven't thought of, or maybe they kind of like resemble your own way of thinking, and if it doesn't, then I hope that there's maybe you can see the side of of our argument and or my argument and your argument. Might be differing in sometimes, but nevertheless, I hope that you were able to learn something along the ride, and then hopefully as things get better, well then the tone of the show
it will be a lot more positive.
Resemble the times, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's definitely something that I look forward to happening. Honestly, like I'm done with this, man.
Yeah,
I want to be able to just go anywhere I want. You know what I'm saying? And I have to wear a mask, and I have to like give people the elbow and stuff like that.
We're kung fu fighting out here, looking like Scorpion and Raiden.
It's just not as fun, dude. I can't really give you a real kick. I gotta give you. You have to like. You have to go, ugh.
Yeah, you gotta pretend you're getting the kick.
I gotta pull it back before my foot gets, dirty with your stuff, We don't want that.
But yeah, definitely. We want to thank everybody for listening to us. If you guys have any thoughts, any, comments, you guys want to let us know, we always write back as much as we can and conversate, get our point across.
It's just a conversation. It's a conversation.
It's just a conversation. We're easy going with it. So until next time.
Peace.